He is one of the only three chefs in India to have been professionally certified by Culinary Institute of America and the American Culinary Federation, where he's also the chef de cuisine. He's also a certified hospitality educator by the American Hotel and Lodging Association. Chef Bali's cup overflows when it comes to academic achievements. He teaches professional chefs at the Culinary Institute of America in New York, where he is visiting faculty, and is affiliated with Mausi Sebes in Argentina and Le Cordon Bleu in London. A day with Chef Jamie Oliver, 10 days with Chef Gordon Ramsay in London, and a trip to Thomas Keller at the French Laundry in Napa Valley are some of the recent feathers in Chef's cap. Chef Bali has a knack for languages. He speaks Kashmiri, Punjabi, Dogri, Bengali, Hindi, and English, and is currently pursuing his advanced diploma in Spanish. He often travels to the Spanish-speaking countries where he conducts Indian cooking classes in Spanish. Chef has authored 5 books, which are prescribed textbooks for catering colleges in India, also Kenya, Nepal, Malaysia. And for this chef, we, the teaching fraternity, are incredibly grateful. In fact, we at Anjuman issue production operations level to our first years as their reference textbooks. Now, this is something none of us knew before. Chef, in his spare time, when he has any, that is, likes to sing on karaoke, play keyboards, and now is learning classical flute from the Meher Senia Gharana under the tutorship of the disciple of Pandit Ravi Shankar. Chef Bali is also a passionate cyclist, believing that to truly enjoy food as it deserves, one needs to be able to ignore the weighing scale. Chef decided he would pedal up a beast of 30 kilometers every day on an average. His other partners in crime from Indirapuram Cycling Club cycle every day with him, and this has now become an undying passion as he has 56,000 in the last 42 months. Commendable, Chef. The list is indeed endless. Welcome, Chef. We are so privileged to have you with us.
Thank you, Miss.
Hello.
Thank you, Miss Dias. And I have seen the questions that students wanted to ask me. But rather than just having like an interview and having a question answer session, I will go through my journey and from which a lot of questions will be answered really. Uh, but thank you so much for having me here to talk to students, and I'll be very happy to answer any of your questions. You may write it in the chat box because whilst I'm talking, it'll be difficult for me to see the chat window and answer the question then and there. I think one question which definitely is on everybody's mind. Am I audible? Am I clear?
Yes, Chef. Yes, Chef. Loud and clear.
Great. So one definite thing I know that students want to ask this question is how do we get into OCLD? That is the first question that I always get to hear from people. Yes, I will answer that as well. I'm sure that with this difficult times, I'm sure a lot of you who especially are in the third year might have a lot of questions to say what is the career like ahead and what's happening, and there's a lot of ambiguity at present. So we will answer all that. But let me start from my journey really, because that was the first question also, that was it my preferred choice to join hotels? So I'll tell you the era that I come from. I have been working with Oberoi Hotels for last 28 years, and I graduated from IHM Calcutta in the year 1993, right? So I do tell people that when you were in your liquid form, I was already in my uniform. But yes, with that thing, I mean, So when I talk about people from my era, which means, of my age bracket, something of being a chef in the hotel was really looked down upon. In certain tier two cities, I think it still is. But thanks to the social media, thanks to Sanjeev Kapoor, all the celebrity chefs who have bought the name chef out in the market in such a way that every other person wanting to join hotel management wants to become a chef. I would also like to address this part, because it is good to be celebrity chefs, but I think just to have this point of view to join hotels chef doesn't really work out. Uh, so my father was in army, and with that, grown up in the defense background, the only thing I knew about was army, air force, and navy really. But however, I never liked the formal, atmosphere which was prevalent in those army cantonments and everything. I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. That was my dream. I mean, not only just a doctor, but to be specific, a neurosurgeon. And with that, my father was posted in Kashmir in my last belt of 11th, 12th. So as a result, I had an opportunity to sit both for medical as well as engineering exams because I had both maths and biology. In those times, you could have both the subjects, engineering as well as medical. I think in some college, some schools still it's the same. I don't know, but my engineering paper was going so well that I left few questions, thinking that oh my God, I should not get the seat into engineering, and I was focusing all on medical. But as luck would have it, I got my seat into engineering. So I did 1 year of mechanical engineering from Regional Engineering College in Kashmir. The place is called Hazrat Bal. I'm sure it was in news for a lot of wrong reasons, but yeah. So I did manage to do my college for 6 months because that is the time there were troublesome times in the valley, and a lot of people had migrated and stuff like that. So I was very lucky I got into hotel management because I thought, oh my God, I wouldn't have to do too much, and I will have to wash couple of utensils, make couple of dishes, and I'll have all the time in my life to study for my medical ventures. With that thought process is when I entered hotel management. So I relate my story a lot to Milkha Singh, who never wanted to become a runner, but because of that greed of one glass of milk, he started running. And so is, I think, with many people. Again, I talk about my generation, my era, who were still trying to find their feet, who were still trying to find what do they want to do in their lives. But I think, with the with that particular thing, when I joined hotel management in Calcutta, trust me, I mean, I then never looked back. It seemed like as if that was my calling. But still, in my first year, I really hadn't made up my mind that I wanted to become a chef. And I'm very happy when I meet a lot of students who are very clear in their mind that they want to become chefs. Of course, some of them want to become chefs because they want to come on television and they want to become celebrity. But I also know a lot of people really passionate about cooking and who already, in being in class 11th and 12th, are following chefs on Instagram. They know ingredients like, we came to know only when we joined hotels. So of course, there's a lot of learning in that Google School of Culinary Arts, which is there. You can actually learn everything and anything from YouTube, and there is so much of things available now. But I'm very happy that people coming now into the industry are more passionate and focused, unlike me, who was just trying to become a neurosurgeon, joining a hotel management institute. So that was a little bit of a crazy thing. But what changed my life really was my industrial training. Now, industrial training, I did my industrial training in Taj Bengal. So Taj Bengal was a very recently opened hotel then in Calcutta. So when I was there in the training, I saw, there were 3 or 4 chefs who had just been hired from Caribbean cruise lines. They were all Indians, but they were very wacky. Wacky in a sense, they had tattooed arms, they had a little bit of shaved head, and they would walk around in the kitchen, they would dig their knife on somebody's chopping board, a bunch of asparagus and walk away. So I, being that 20-year-old, out of army cantonment, watching all that was like Pirates of Caribbean for me. I said, wow, that's so cool. Being in the kitchen, being a chef is so cool. So that was my naive thought process that inspired kitchens. And then in my industrial training belt, I got, after a month, posted to the restaurant side. Not to the restaurant side. I was in Shonar Gaon. That was the Indian restaurant in Taj Bengal. And I was just laying out the outside buffet in the pantry area in the restaurant, and suddenly this one guy was shouting on the manager who was present at Shonar Gaon. And God bless the soul of one of my very favorite chef, Arvind Saraswat. Chef Saraswat was the corporate chef for Taj Hotels. I used to love the silver big buttons on his coat. And all these things really fancied me, these buttons on the coat, those chefs with the Caribbean, Pirates of the Caribbean attitude. So I was just trying to, grow up in my life. I was trying to assimilate what was happening around me. And this guest was really furious on that manager and he was shouting. And Arvind Saraswat happened to pass by and he just intervened and say, "May I help you?" And, the guest suddenly was so calm. And he asked the chef to sit on the table, and that was the interaction happening. So the manager was standing, the chef was sitting across the table with the guest, and the guest was showing the concern. Chef was so maturely handling the stuff, but it was so amazing that at my point in time, again I started thinking, wow, if you need to have a respect, then it is kitchens. Now, when I think today, no, not true. Even managers, it's good to be everybody. You could be a manager, you could be an F&B, you can be housekeeping. But I'm just talking about that early mindset that is being developed where you are learning from the environment. And there's nobody to counsel you and tell you. You're only assimilating, you're only believing what your eyes are seeing and what your mind is telling you. And that mind at that point in time was very immature. But luckily, I think that really fixed me, to join hotels. And then, of course, growing up, everybody has this dream to join OCLD. In my time, it was known as Oberoi School of Hotel Management, or OSHM. And from first year onwards, it was that, oh, they come every year, but they hardly take any students, hardly maybe one. And in last 5 years, no one has been selected on OSHM. So again, somehow, I don't know why, but made that commitment to myself that, I want to join OCLD and I want to join OSHM. Then, of course, then I got serious and I started speaking to my teachers. And, within the first whole year, nobody thought, that you will be so interested and in the kitchen and all that thing. But when they saw the interest and all, then definitely from second year, I really started to prepare for OCLD. So I think preparation is one of the most important things in lives. So there it was, and I got selected through OSHM. I think getting selected through OCLD is one of the most easiest things. I think graduating out from OCLD is something that is really difficult, but it really changed my mind. When I joined OCLD, and post OCLD, I was interested in pastry. The interest just came in. That is another story, that how did it happen, but it happened. And I really ventured towards bakery and pastry. And thereafter, then, the journey started. And I was the pastry chef. 98, I got. And then I was promoted to executive sous chef. Then Mr. Oberoi, sent me to Melbourne, in Oberoi Windsor, to go and train with the best chefs for 3 months, Mandarin Oriental in Bangkok. I came back. I worked for 2 more years, and then a career change happened in my life, where I opened ITC Shonar Bangla for 2 years, which is the ITC hotel in Calcutta, as an executive chef. And my real reason for that was I was very scared of Indian cooking, Indian cuisine, because you must understand, as a pastry chef, you are very process driven. You do everything with recipes, because, and even the process is important, because the same amount of eggs, butter, sugar, and flour can yield a cookie, can also yield a cake, can also yield a bread. It's how you alter the process to mix all the ingredients. So for me, that 1 or 2 grams of everything was very essential. And this I could not get in Indian kitchen, when people would just use handful of things and say andaza. And some people would add ginger garlic paste after the onion has browned, some would add before it. So I was totally confused in my mind. And I had to find a guru to, teach me the basics of Indian cuisine. And it's never too late to learn. So even when I was the executive chef, I was very happy to be, assisting chef Imtiaz Qureshi, who had come down to help and support Open Shonar Bangla. So I was very happy to learn from the master, how to go about it. And of course, I picked up the skills and everything. And I owe my Indian skills to ITC today, where I have learned from, the masters. And then being in Calcutta, Southeast Asia, I was very lucky that, I was sent to many countries to do Indian food promotions. And that really changed my life. 2 years I was with ITC, but in 2 years' time, I think I have visited more than 16 countries. So almost every month I was on a plane to go and do a food promotion. And when I was doing that, I was learning the cuisines from the other countries as well. So I think learning is something that will be never ending in your lives as a chef. And and then of course I was married. I hadn't seen my children grow. So I got an opportunity to come and work at OC. And again, like attitude, that don't want to run, but want a glass of milk. So what enticed me to come to OCLD was that 5 day week. Somebody told me Saturday and Sunday is off. You have a 9 to 6 job, and all festivals you have holidays. I thought, wow, that's amazing. Because, as an executive chef, I had worked for 16 hours on daily basis, sometimes 3 months without any off. So I was also looking for a little break in my life and say, okay, why not try this? But trust me, I had no clue that culinary education is one of the most difficult jobs, in this entire world. Because one, you are grooming students, you're grooming the future leaders of for the industry. You're touching their lives in one way or the other. I think it's far easier to make a buffet and lay out a spread of, for 800 people. But I think just to counsel that one person who has kind of, gone away from his path, I think it's one of the most challenging things. And you touch lives of people that have realized. And to take a session of 2 hours, I think you as a teacher have to put in 4 to 6 hours of your own research. Because this time you have so much of knowledge available on Google that at many times when teacher is saying something, there are students who are actually on the Google vetting out that what the teacher is telling you is right or not. So it is good to be socially great on social media, but trust me, don't trust everything that's on Google, because there are a lot of things that the teachers will tell you from your experiences. So, that is the little story of how I was and, what happened with the life. But let me tell you, I think I enjoyed my Saturday, Sundays only for 3 months. And then I didn't know what to do on a Saturday, Sunday. As a busy chef, working 14, 16 hours a day, this was not my cup of tea. And I did not know really what to do. And that is how a lot of things crossed my paths. One definitely was writing books. I wrote books on my most of my Saturday, Sundays. I finished my book writing. I learned Spanish over weekends. I used to go 6 hours on Saturday, 6 hours on Sunday to Embassy of Spain to learn Spanish. I did that for 3 years. And then, of course, I started cycling. But apart from that, I think I also made sure that I was in touch with my range, with the fire, with my pots and pans. I never wanted to let that go off. And I think I'm one of the senior chefs in the country who cooks the most, because I cook 5 days a week with my student from 9 to 6. Because in this industry, the higher you go up in your rank, the less and less you get to cook. Because it's not that you don't want to cook, but even if you want to cook, you suddenly, there is a guest waiting for a complaint. You have to go and discuss this thing with the general manager. So you don't get as much of time in your life to actually cook on the range. I'm very happy I do that. I go to hotels to do food promotions in Oberoi hotels. I go and make money for them. I travel to hotels to conduct training classes. With all that, so it already keeps me always on my toes. It always keeps me with what's happening in the latest in the culinary world. um, I'm lucky I get to travel a lot to see things. But okay, coming back to now, there are definitely four P's that you students need in your life. One of the P is passion. Okay, so now passion is it's a very loose word. But I think the Hindi translation is what I like of passion. The passion ka Hindi translation is junoon. You've got to have junoon for something that you do in whatever things you do, whether it's being an housekeeping, whether it's being an F&B, whether it's being a chef. When it's about passion, and when I meet students over a table on an interview, and they tell me that I'm very passionate about cooking, and then we drill specific. I'm very passionate about Italian cooking. I said, wow, very good. And then I asked few basic questions, like give me the regions of Italy. Tell me, where does Parmesan cheese come from? The person is very clueless. But suddenly we switch off. We say, okay, don't be nervous. What are your hobbies? So the person says, oh, I'm into sports cars. I said, wow, okay. So then the question starts, okay, so which car do you like? He says, okay, I like Lamborghini, this model. I said, so what's special about Lamborghini? Trust me, the guys go on and on. He'll tell me about the horsepower, he'll tell me about the make, he'll tell me about the material that the car is made up of. He'll tell me that what is the torque, what is the balance. I said, wow, man, that's passion. You're really passionate about cars. But if that is what you think your passion is, then you relate that passion to something like cooking, that you say, I'm interested in this. So kind of think in your mind, what's your hobby? What do you love doing the most apart from work? And then start relating that, do you have a similar kind of passion in what you do in your career that you want to grow in? Okay, so passion, something which is very important. Second thing is um, being um how do I say this? Not in the negative conversation, but I want to say you want to be um, persistent of something, right? Persistently strive and achieve it. Okay, go for it. Never give up. Then uh, another P is uh, profit. Profit is another thing that you you chefs are the leaders of today. Gone are the days Gone are the days when chefs were only responsible for cooking on the range. Today, you're responsible for the bottom line of an organization. You need to keep profits in mind. In whatever you do, there is money. So think about yields, think about costs, think about using local, think about developing farmers, think about why imported. Give good quality to your guest, but at the same time, think profit. Think how you are going to get profit to the organization that you work for. And another P is people. Be a people's person. I remember, my the first advice I got was for my parents, from my teachers, and I still remember that thing, which says that a tree which doesn't have any fruits stands very tall and erect, and all its leaves are blown away by the wind that blows. But the tree that is laden with fruit is always bent to the ground. So humility, right? You can learn from anyone. You can learn from your kitchen steward. You can learn from a steward. You can learn from a kitchen cleaner. Uh, Never have an air or an attitude about what you've achieved in your life. Uh, because yes, some part of definitely I feel is a lot of hard work, but also some part is a lot of your luck. That you were lucky, where somebody else did not have those opportunities. There are a lot of skilled people out there, and always think that whatever you are, there are more skilled people in this world available than you. But what does make you different from the others? It what you have to ask yourself. Are you, if you have that plethora of knowledge, and if you just keep that knowledge within yourself, then what is the point? But if you put this knowledge to everybody else's use, then people are also gaining from this knowledge. And on the other hand, when people gain knowledge, they ask questions. When people ask questions, they start making you think in a different thing altogether, because sometimes your own experiences can work against you. Something that you have been doing for numbers of years, maybe that person who just looks it from a fresh eye says, why can't we do it like that? Gets you into thinking. And this happens with me every day, trust me. At OCLD, when we get these new graduates, They learn little from me, but I think I learn a lot from students. And I think that is what is really important in terms of sharing knowledge. So passion, persistent, profit, and people. Things are very important qualities of being a chef. Apart from this, of course, skill is something. If you have the will, you will get the skill. So skill is something that will come with practice. It is not something that you're born with. I think everybody can acquire any kind of skill, as long as that person is not physically handicapped, as long as that person wants to do it. So if you have the will, the skill will come to you. Yes, some people are slow, so things will come later to you. But with a lot of practice, it is not possible that you will not be able to acquire the skill. If you're not able to, means that you don't want to. Your inner self doesn't want to acquire that skill. But if you're all in for it, then there is no way that you cannot acquire that skill. So don't be in a haste, don't be in a hurry. Take one step at a time, which is very important. Now, what happens when you see food on Instagram? You all want to copy the food which is on Instagram. Trust me, rather than making that food, you need to learn the art of photography. You need to learn some filters, have some apps to, make your food look great. So don't just practice what you see on Instagram and social media. Go for the wholesome food. Learn basics, which is very important. Learn how to pick up the right ingredient. Learn how to separate a good quality tomato from a bad one. Learn how to slice that onion properly. Learn how to figure out that, okay, which spice is best. Learn how to start the process. How much oil should be heated when I add the spice. All these basics are going to go a long way. So cooking is like learning a language. You have to learn all the alphabets first, then start making small words, 3-letter words, 4-letter words, then start making, small sentences, and then you're able to write paragraphs. So the ingredients are your alphabets. Understand your ingredients, the ABC of everything. You must know 5 types of onions, 5 types of mushrooms, 5 types of tomatoes, 5 types of olive oil, all these things. Just think of 5 types, more than enough. Then start, mixing things. And that is your 3 or 4-letter words. Then make a little dish, that's your sentence. Then create a menu, which becomes your language. So start slow. Always relate cooking to learning a language. Um, and like I said, take it slow. Things you will get opportunities in life. You will know what to do, but have perseverance. Don't give up. Learn from your mistakes. You'll make a lot of mistakes. Don't be scared of making a mistake, but don't make that mistake again. Learn from that mistake, understand, analyze, why did that mistake happen. uh, Knowledge is something that is something very important. Being a chef, I still study, I still read. So reading is very important. uh, Not only through the textbooks, you now have a lot of audiovisual aids that you can learn from. So I don't say just read books, but if you're not into reading books, then at least see videos, follow chefs, do podcast. There are various ways of learning today, so do that. But what you need to definitely do is general awareness. A lot of people think that, अरे मैं तो chef हूँ, मुझे क्या करना है जान के? Why do I need to know who's the president and prime minister of whichever place? No, I think as chefs now, you're the ambassadors of your country. You're representing the country. Today, people are recognizing chefs all across the world, and they're associating the chefs with the country. Massimo Bottura, the famous Italian chef, Padma Shri Award winner Sanjeev Kapoor, Padma Shri Imtiaz Qureshi. So these are all the chefs which have made the country proud. So please read newspapers, read what's happening in the world, because we are all into people's business. We are meeting guests from various other places in the world. Now let's say that you did not know that there was a war in one country, and some country are visiting your place, and you're greeting them and say, oh, I love your country, it is so beautiful place, I want to go there. So the person might think, my God, what's wrong with this person? There's a war broken down and this guy wants to visit my country. So, you make a fool of yourself. So you're talking to the international people who are coming in. So you need to know what's happening around in the world, which is very important. Um, yeah, so I mean, many things like that. But I'm happy to take questions now, because I think I've been speaking for a lot of time. Let's we can revisit the questions. Just 1 minute, and I
Well,
can. Yes.
sorry for interrupting, Chef. I just had, well, thank you so much, because I had so many questions myself to ask you, and you've touched upon, you've covered up most of them. So, especially when students tend to find a profession kind of too stereotype and routine mundane, it's more like, the honeymoon wearing off at a certain point of time.
Right.
So, thank you for the advice that you've given our young aspirants, on how to refrain from falling a prey, to kind of pressures and that stepping down.
Yeah.
You've Thank you for this specifying on the all through your journey about the disciplines that you really followed, because that is also very very important. Being a chef does definitely lies in with glamour, creativity, publicity, promotion, and a lot more. And there are a lot of challenging aspects which you made a mention. So thank you very much, Chef, for that. Also, I would like to point out, as you rightly mentioned about the kind of progress we've made now in the hospitality industry, as in the reformation and the paradigm shift in the hospitality, and the credit goes to Chef Sanjeev Kapoor and Chef Imtiaz Qureshi, especially for being
Yeah.
the two Padma Shri Award winners. Yes, but then the kind of uh, progress we've made, be it the star hotels, standalone restaurants, fast food chains, and so on and so forth. And the latest trend now is home takeaways and cloud kitchens.
Right.
But you did, in one of your interviews, Chef, comment on the thought process of youngsters taking offense in working in places like,
Yeah.
Haldiram, Sagar Ratnam. So could you throw some light and
Yeah.
clarity on this, on the reason for this comment or an
Yeah.
assessment, and what is your take on this?
Yeah. Okay, so I think I don't know when did I say that. I must have mentioned it, I'm sure. But the thing must have come from the fact that, most of the students, and I think this lies somewhere in our Indian culture. It's a cultural thing that one, to join hotels, uh, it is looked down upon. कि क्या तुम cook बनने जा रहे हो? क्या तुम, and people who have a lot of money will tell their children कि अरे यार, हमारे तो घर में हमने शेफ्स रखे हुए हैं नौकरी पे, तुम क्या किसी और की नौकरी करने जा रहे हो? We'll set up a restaurant for you and you do it. But look at the Western world. I mean, we are trying to ape the Western world in many ways. But I think somewhere down the line, with a very cultural thing, we said, okay, ठीक है, अगर मुझे शेफ बनना है, तो मैं किसी अच्छे ब्रांड के साथ एसोसिएट होऊंगा. So that brand value in our culture is so strong that I want to be associated here. I want to be seen wearing this. I want to be seen having an iPhone 11. So it's a brand kind of a thing, I think, which is very. But I think when it comes to choosing your profession, your career, it is very important that you want to know what do you want to do 10 years from now. There will lie an answer to your question. If you say 10 years from now, I want to become an executive chef of a five-star deluxe hotel, your career path has to take a different move altogether. But listen, if you tell me that 10 years, post 10 years, you want to have your own restaurant or your own bakery, then I will never suggest that you go and work in five-star hotels. I said you go work in a five-star hotel for 2-3 years to get the quality, learn the bigger, production cycles, everything. But then come back and join a freestanding restaurant, because your small restaurant will have a different challenge. Both your space will be a challenge. In a hotel, you'll have a larger kitchen. In your own small restaurant, every inch will cost you money. So smaller kitchens, skill set will be very different. In a five-star hotel, you will get IHM graduates, but in your own restaurant, you will have to hire people who are 12th pass, or who are cooks from some other places. So there are challenges with regards to people. There are challenges with regards to supplies. There are challenges with regards to getting imported stuff. So there are so many challenges that you will have to work with. But if you start working in that standalone restaurant, 2, 3 different standalone restaurants, then you are more capable of opening your own restaurant, because you exactly know what the market is. You know where to procure licenses from. You know where to get the supplies from. You know where to get your staff from. Now, how will that help you if you work 10 years as an executive chef and want to open your own restaurant? Trust me, there are 80% chances that it's going to be a flop. So my thing to that was, when we talk about a Haldiram or a Sagar Ratna, in my context, I think the thing was that if you want to open up your joint like a Haldiram or
Okay, chef.
Sagar Ratna, then you need to be working in that place, you know. But somehow that person will say, "Arey nahi, main Sagar Ratna mein kaam nahi kar sakta." But ask them that why? Why can't you work in a Haldiram? They have today. Okay, then if I work in Haldiram, I'll work in the London branch. I have no problem in working in Haldiram, which is situated in London, but I'll not work in Haldiram, which is situated in Raipur, Bareilly. That is what I want to tell people, that don't think like that. The location doesn't matter. It is the place, what you're going to learn from it. So, what is your innate need of learning? What do you want to do after 10 years? And it's a very difficult question when you ask yourself, why I'm doing hotel management? Why I'm here in this university? What do I want to do after this? I think it will really wake you up, because I've seen that, only 30 or 40% of the people graduating out from hotel management institutes all across the country join hotels. Where do the rest of 70 go? I don't know. Some go for higher education. Some go and start having their own businesses. Some go completely change the field altogether. And they start doing law and stuff like that. So anyway, that is your personal choice. Then a lot of people ask me that, okay, can I go to Culinary Institute of America to do my further learning? So, well, if you have that kind of money to spend, why not? Go ahead. But what is the motive again? I mean, if you want to keep working abroad, which is then fine, go and join Culinary Institute of America. You'll graduate out, you'll start from scratch, and you'll grow the way up. Because that in those countries, it's very different. Apprenticeships are regarded more. So, like you do hotel management, there are people like Anthony Bourdain and everybody who started the careers at the age of 14 years, working as kitchen dishwashers, helping with stores, and they learned skills on the way. So there is a very strong apprenticeship driven program in the European countries. And the chefs who are at 21 have already worked 7, 8 years in the kitchen. So that is, so they don't get this that you have done your degree from here and done that from. No, they say, okay, show me what you can cook, because everybody there is cooking on the range. So it's your skill set, which you can acquire only over a period of time. So if you think you'll do Culinary Institute of America and you want to come back to India and you will get a position of sous chef, no, not possible. You will still start from a, same ranking as, and then you will say that why did I go in the first place to Culinary Institute of America? So yes, nice country. US is great place. Go see, spend money. But if you want to come back to India and you think you'll be a sous chef, don't think like that. But yes, if you want to start working abroad, then you have to look at the political. That's why I said be generally aware. Because when the Trump government was there, you couldn't. You had to finish your education and come back to India. There was no way you as an Indian could work there because of the the visas and everything. And right now there is in London also, there is the thing happening about the Brit thing, which is giving a lot of problems to the Indian chefs, working there in terms of licensing and work licenses and all that. So be very aware of what you're getting into, which is important. Yeah.
Okay, Chef, I know you have a meeting lined up later, so I'll just be really quick. And well, thank you. I forgot to mention, you did make a mention or you did emphasize on the importance of research. Thank you for that, because I know what an avid reader you are, what a passionate researcher you are. Again, in one of your interviews, I did hear you when you were asked about the difference between authenticity and traditional, and
Yeah.
you just in Indian regional cuisine, and you just kind of took off from the history, the recipes, the influencing of the culinary culture, and so on. So yes, today people do want to recreate iconic ancient recipes. It's like wanting to curate information, like on lost recipes and long lost hidden recipes. So thank you so very much for. My next question to you, Chef, is today chefs are working on artificial intelligence and blockchain concepts in terms of the buzzword these days is sustainability in the food industry. So,
Right.
do you see this as a threat from technology, or does it open kind of new exciting opportunities? What is your take on this? If it is a threat, and if it is the positive, then how do you come to this conclusion?
No, I think it's a threat only when you are not prepared to work along with the technology, because technology is something that is going to take over. The automation is going to happen. Uh, the problem is that when you're caught with a surprise and you're not able to change and adapt yourself to that new technology. So I think being a chef in whatever age you are, whether you are a 20-year-old chef, whether you are a 45-year-old chef or a 65-year-old chef, you will make yourself completely redundant only when you don't adapt to a technology. And it is about, if you look at Nokia, Motorola's, they've all phased out, even the Blackberries of the world. With the iPhone coming in, they all phased out because they did not adapt themselves to the newer changing markets. Samsung did and is striving along with iPhone. Okay, but I think adaptability is one key thing, that you have to be more open and you have to embrace technology and see that how can I use this technology to better my own self and be able to produce profits for the organization and also learn something out of it. I think that is something really well. And if you just keep sitting in the corner to say, oh, this is not going to affect me, the artificial intelligence and blockchain concepts are never going to come in my kitchen, you'll be surprised. The technology is changing far faster than what you think today is. The blockchain concept might not be affecting your world really right now, but trust me, I mean, there are companies who are already, like Carrefour Market is already working on this blockchain concepts. When they have an ingredient on the shelf, they work on a blockchain concept where when you scan the ingredient, the list tells you that when this was plucked from the farm, how long was it in the travel, how long it has been sitting on the shelf, and what is the real expiry time of this product which is in your hand. And these things are going to get, you know very soon out in the market, where it will be in the form of an app, where when the consumer comes to the place, he will place and scan something and come to know and tell you, sorry, you're giving me a substandard product, and you will not know that, oh my god, how this has happened. So somehow you will have to keep inventing, doing things. You have to be far ahead in technology. You, we as chef should be the one who should be giving ideas to the engineers to say, this is what is the need. This is what we need. I remember when I was in my OSHM days, like 25, 26 years, I always used to think, while working in the bakery, that there should be a machine where the store is on top, and there are machines below, and you just press something on the computer and everything drops down into the thing, it mixes and it bakes. Oh my god, trust me, those things are automated, and it's happening across the world, where thousands of breads are being made in that same fashion, where only thing and handling that place are just one or two people. So everything is automated, right?
Very
So many people have lost jobs today, whether it was when is the last time you actually bought a camera film from the market and you actually rolled it onto your camera? And when is the last time you ever visited a camera guy to give him that reel to say, develop these photographs for us? I mean, when I'm telling you things, some of you in this generation might be thinking, really? What are you talking about, chef? Was there something like that existing? Of course, there was. When is the last time you have gone to an STD booth to make a call? To dial a number from an STD booth. You hardly see any STD booths today, right? When is the last time you have gone to post an inland letter in the letterbox to your friend? It's a WhatsApp away. So many things have just fizzled out from our lives. When is the last time you have put that little TDK or Sony tape in the slot and listen to the song by forwarding or rewinding it? My God, no. We are so used to Spotify now. We are so used to the Wink music, and we don't even have to use our fingers. We just have to talk to Siri and say, play this song. And they will ask you what format. You want video or you want audio? You want MP4? You want MP3? My God. We are spoiled for choices. So technology is going to take you over. But as I think it's very important for you to embrace that technology, be very open, and adapt to it as soon as possible, because there's no way out.
Chef, could you just spare just 1 minute to advise the students before we start on with the messages? Uh,
Yes.
as you will agree that cooking or kitchen is an acquired language, but it
Hmm.
also correlates with a lot more peripheries. So could you please give my darling students a reality check on the importance of good communication skills, the right attitude required, grooming standards, and the discipline in our field, please?
So that was one of the things where I wanted to address when you asked me the question that, what takes to get into OCLD. I don't know really about OCLD, but I'll tell you what takes to get you into the hotels. Whether it is OCLD, whether it is Taj, whether it is WMI. And the answer to that question is that think you have your own business. Think that you are opening up your own restaurant and you have to hire a manager and a chef for your restaurant. What are the certain qualities that you will look at in those people? So if we talk about chef, you'll say, okay, I want a chef who is able to cook, which is very good. Second, I want a chef who is able to cook a range of cuisines.
Messages.
I want a chef, who does not scream and shout, which means that he has a good attitude. You want a person who is knowledgeable. You want a person who can go and talk to the guests. So basically, you're looking at communication. So, if you write down the attributes of what you will look at a person when you hire for your own business, then trust me, Mr. Oberoi, Mr. Tata, they don't have different opinions at all. They all think on the same lines. So gone are the days when chef was wearing tall hats and hiding in the kitchens and nobody knew his name. Today the guests come to your restaurant on chef's name. When today the people get Michelin stars, it is the chefs who get the Michelin stars. When the restaurant also gets, so the chef gets a Michelin star and hence the restaurant is awarded a Michelin star. So today chef is an integral part of your F&B establishment, and for that you should be able to talk properly. You should be able to communicate very well. You should be confident, because if you want to even have this innate need of coming on television or doing things, you will have to be a great orator to do so. Learning will never stop. You will have to keep reading, because knowledge is something that enhances your way of life, your confidence. Because if you're knowledgeable, you're able to speak about the same thing. If you don't have knowledge, you certainly will be caught up. Even you're a good speaker, but you will not know what to speak in an August gathering where people are talking very intellectual things. But you can only partake. You can only partake in the discussion only when you are in sync with what they're talking about. So communication is something very important. And whenever we talk about communication, I think people misinterpret it in a way. They think communication means speaking English. Okay, so sadly, we do have customers who come from various parts of the country, and the international spoken language is English. So hence, emphasis on English is big in all the hotels in India. But I think when we talk about communication, we talk about your non-verbal communication as well. Your open body language, your facial expressions, how open you are to things, your voice modulations. So communication is not only about a language, but I think it's the way you speak. So I think, amongst yourself, uh, it's very important in school at least talk in English, because English is just a language. You can obviously learn. There are a lot of courses being offered in British Council and all that, which teach you how to speak good English. So it's a skill. If you can learn French, German, Spanish, I think English is far easier to learn that way. Uh, and attitude we spoke about, attitude to say a positive attitude, to always not get bogged down by the flip side of the thing, but to say, okay, I understand that, but I will be able to work and I'll be able to do it. So the positive look, outlook towards life, seeing the glass half full or half empty is your choice. So I think all these attributes, if you have, and along with that, please read newspapers, please read, see news, be in sync with what's happening in the world. General awareness, very, very important. Yes,
We
ma'am.
just have one student, Shubham, because our students were with loads of questions yesterday when I happened to tell them we were discussing about the webinar. And what I can see is how I look at it is you've covered everything, Chef. So Shubham Salvi has a question for you.
Mhm.
He wants to know which cooking methods are more essential or effective as it comes to taste and quality with regards to modern methods like robotic, rational, smart machines. or the traditional methods? What would it be? I mean,
See, I think there is nothing to beat the traditional stuff. Like making a chutney on a silbatta, has a very different effect because and you need to look at the science behind it. So understand the science behind everything. So when we talk about a chutney being made on a silbatta, what you're basically doing that is that all the fibers which are present, you are rubbing the fibers and crushing the fibers to get the juices out and get the chutney together. But in a mixer or a grinder, that is not happening. The blades are just cutting the stems into very smallest pieces, thereby giving you an illusion that it's into a paste. But it's not really into the paste as in a paste of that, because in this, the thing has been cut so fine that it gives us an illusion that it's a paste. So definitely the texture, however, looks same, but the texture on tasting will be very different. The taste will be very different. But now the practical thing is that you have to make that chutney for 1000 people party. Now somewhere you have to make that, a change in your mindset to say, okay, I know how it is made on silbatta. I will do it for a gathering of 12 or 20 people, but for 1000 people, not sit on the silbatta and doing, making chutney. It'll be great, but there'll be so much other things like complaint, delay of food, everything that people will not focus on the time you spent on the making a good chutney. So I think that is where you have to take intelligent and smart decisions. So sometimes, yes, it's important to know the traditional things. If you work with engineers to create machines which give you the same effect, then I think that is the need of the hour. The engineers currently design their machines at their own skill and level set. There are very few companies who take the chefs on board and then make the machinery. So right now, the rational equipments and all that, I think that is the success stories of there because there are chefs on board who actually talk about the cooking principles and the methods, and the engineers then convert the machines into that way. So I think that is the need of the hour, and which is happening good in the new machines. Like there's a machine called Josper. It's a grilling equipment, but Josper is as old as 1950s. But Josper is now getting very popular in the worldwide because and you should just look at Josper on Google and see how it works. It is the best machine for grilling meats, barbecue, but it's very scientifically designed. Ma'am, you're on mute.
there is one more question, and this is from Hamad Rashid Sheikh. He's requested some books for these young aspirants as to how they could prepare for their for their interviews.
So listen, I think most of the questions are being asked from my book itself. So if you're reading food production operation, that is good, good enough. But like I said, not so much as one particular book. I think I grew up reading K. Arora, which is my favorite book. So I love that book. It covers most of the things. But I think as an ingredient, if you just make a list of 5 things of different things, I think you're sorted out for interviews. If you know 5 products you can make from puff pastry, 5 products you can make from choux pastry, 5 types of tomatoes, 5 types of onions, 5 types of mushrooms, 5 types of 5 of the most common things, and you will be sorted out.
You rightly mentioned, Chef, about your books, and we strongly recommend it to all our students. And like I have been saying this time and again to you, expressing my gratitude for all the effort that you've put in. It is a big favor, I could say, that contribution to the teaching fraternity. So thank you very much once again. Our conversation, Chef, has been fantastic, but it's sad it's short-lived also because you're so pressed for time. You have a meeting lined up ahead, as you mentioned.
Yes.
We hope to see you again, Chef, sooner than sooner.
Definitely.
And thank you is really a very small gesture. But I would,
Thank
however, like to extend our gratitude on
thank
behalf of our dynamic principals, Dr. Rukshana Pilamoria and Mr. Harish Suvarna, and of course, my dear colleagues, especially the kitchen team. Chef,
thank you.
thank you for willingly agreeing to conduct this enlightening webinar in spite of you being so pressed for time. Do
Thank you,
take care
my
of yourself, Chef.
pleasure.
Stay safe. Loads and loads of love, good wishes, and blessings from all of us Anjumanites for all your lined up endeavors and a lot more achievements in the future. I'm
Thank you.
sure our students are already visualizing and hoping they get a chance and an opportunity to work under you. So best wishes, good wishes to them also. Thank you
Yeah.
once again, Chef.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you
And
soon,
if
Chef. Yes.
students want to follow me on my Instagram, Chef Bali is my handle. You can ask me questions there and I'll be able to respond. Thank you
Thank you, Chef. Yes. Bye bye.
so much. Bye bye. Take care.